timelessly gorgeous, isn't it? But despite initial appearances, this is a new car that rolled gleaming into the sunlight for the first time just a few days ago. Proteus wants to be to the C-type what Eagle is to the E-type and Singer is to the 911. So we thought we really ought to drive one. Tucked away in the heart of England is a company called ADV. It's one of those cases where a nondescript exterior hides in Aladdin's cave of wondrous activity and beautiful objects. This is where a Proteus begins its life. Whilst the beautiful bodywork is finished lovingly by hand, with some parts being fashioned on a traditional English wheel, the Malcolm Sayer design has also been treated to some very modern technology. There are CAD models, and Proteus has invested in a huge 15-ton mould so that the larger pieces can be accurately and repeatably superformed. This means that something like the bonnet is just 2 sections, instead of the 20 or 30 that would be required otherwise. It's a fascinating place, and given the astronomical costs associated with some of the other cars being built in the same workshop, you might recognise a few of the shapes. The £130,000 Proteus looks rather good value. The voluptuously clothed skeleton of the car is then taken down to Hoffman's in Henley-on-Thames, where the rest of the assembly is carried out. A late 4.2 litre Jaguar XK Straight 6 is sourced as a basis for what goes under the bonnet, but it's totally rebuilt with new internals and specially designed induction and exhaust systems. There is a Life Racing ECU, and Bosch is responsible for the fuel injection and fly-by-wire throttle. And, after 1,000 hours of work, this is the end result. But of course, as gorgeous as it is to look at, what you really want to do
is drive it. We've got this wonderful thin rim but big diameter motor litre wheel. But to be honest, through the corners you're doing as much steering with the throttle pedal as you are with the wheel. We've got 260 brake horsepower and 230 pound-foot of torque from this 4.2 litre XK engine. Those figures are both produced at about 3,000 RPM, and it's beautiful, it's a wonderful sort of torquey feeling engine. You don't really feel the need to rev it out, so it's actually sort of really relaxing when you're going along and doing a journey. But then it becomes much more raspy. The little 5-speed Tremac T-type gearbox is a lovely snickety shift. And it's a beautiful thing when you do actually start pushing. Really evolving and surprisingly quick. You get down out of the wind behind this aero screen. The view over the bonnet and the louvers. The road stretching out in front. Yeah, this is my kind of motoring.
Proteus claims a 0 to 60 mph time of 5.4 seconds and a top speed of 130 miles an hour. There's a Torsen limited slip diff between the independently suspended rear wheels, and this is the first Proteus to be supplied with new Nitron shocks. The setup work with these new dampers is ongoing and will no doubt improve, but even on base settings, it was good.
Everything about this car really is the sort of the antithesis of modern driving. You can smell everything in your surroundings, you feel the wind in your hair. The driving position's really good, the pedals are nicely positioned, they're Wildwood pedals, same company that makes the brakes. So all those sorts of things actually make this a very easy car to drive. It's not intimidating as you might think, but yet you've got the character still there.
Perhaps the trickiest thing to get used to, and the biggest dynamic throwback, is the braking. There are discs all round, and fade certainly isn't an issue, but the authentic-looking Blockley radial tyres can only take so much pressure before they lock up. Fortunately, you'll hear the odd chirp before things get out of hand, and you get used to it. You just need to give yourself a bit of extra leeway coming into corners.
Of course, it's not surprising that it's quick, despite only 260 brake horsepower, because it only weighs 1,000 kilos. And that, of course, inevitably dictates so much of how this car feels, where it rides, where it steers, the acceleration that you get, sound on the downshifts. So you really feed it into the corner, work it from early in the corner with the throttle, and it's easily caught. The big wheel looks like it might be a little bit cumbersome, but actually it's Beautifully direct steering, and you get used to it very quickly. It's just such an interactive and enjoyable car. This is driving.
Yes, it's impractical, but equally in the 300 or so miles from Berkshire to South Wales and back, it never missed a beat. And I suspect if you're the sort of person that buys this car, then you'll already have the healthy sense of adventure that seems innate in all such owners. Of course, you could have the latest NSX or new Audi R8 Spider for similar money, but this is a shape that has already stood the test of time. And with Proteus continuing to produce the C-type, albeit with a bit of modern modification, I think it will continue to inspire the dreams of plenty more generations to come. To watch Richard Meaden driving a Singer 911, just click on the left, or if you'd rather see a video of the gorgeous Eagle Low Drag GT, just mosey over onto the box on the right. And please, if you haven't kindly done so already, remember to subscribe to the channel. It's free.